Welcome to the Real Estate Finder podcast. I'm Matthew Maschler, real estate broker with the Signature Real Estate Companies here in the great state of Florida. And we just did a sidebar. We were having our weekly marketing meeting, and I had a couple of marketing thoughts. These are not things that I've thought of in the past. They're fairly new, so I wanted to brainstorm them a little bit. We're discussing marketing a very unique property. And even though it's a very unique property, I think that there's the lessons that we learn can be held across the board. For instance, if we have a 55 and over community and we have a new listing there, right? Well, that's unique. Even though there's hundreds, thousands of units in Florida that are 55 and over, right? We're identifying not everyone would want a 55 and over community, right? So in that situation, that's what's unique about it, right? A condo on the water with a boat slip, right? Well, that's a very different type of property. It has different needs. My point is that our job as real estate agents is to find a buyer when we have the listing, is to find a buyer for these unique properties. So even though the one that we're talking about is very, very unique, the uniqueness can extend to something like 55 over, condo on the water, country club. I once saw a listing with a squash court in the house. So that was a very unique proposition. But if somebody wants a condo on the water, even if they love squash, they're not going to buy the house with a squash court. So I kind of wanted to divide the marketing into three tranches, right? When we first start listing a property, we put the property in a Homes and Land magazine. It's a very small postage stamp size ad, and we put 9 or 10 listings in Homes and Land magazine. If I was going to do a billboard, if I was going to do a Facebook ad, I don't have a lot of space to say everything that I want to about the property. So I have to start at the very highest level, right? The uniqueness. If someone's looking for a 5-bedroom house in a good school district, right? That's a good place to start, right? Because that's a different buyer than the condo on the water, different than the 55 and over. So I think you start there when you're marketing the new piece of property. If I had a $3 million listing in the Oaks, the owner spent over $350,000 on the home automations. Everything, stereos, speakers everywhere. Everything was controlled by the app, the air conditioning, the lighting, all the window treatments. It was magnificent. But I can't see starting with home automation, smart house, home automation, right? The banner ad in Homes and Land, the banner ad when I'm first starting to attract eyeballs to gather, right? If you're fishing, when you're chumming the water, I'm not going to start with smart house. Now, similarly, we had a $2 million listing in the Oaks that had a Crestron system, a fantastic Crestron system. And the owner always wanted to make sure that we included the Crestron as a feature, as a featured amenity in the house. But I get to the house and I'm showing and I'm asking the buyer, where are you coming from? Trying to ascertain the needs. Have they settled on the Oaks? Have they even settled on Boca Raton? Because if they're not sure they want to be in Boca Raton and they're still considering if they want to be on the water or if they want to be west, well, it doesn't matter how good your speakers are, right? That comes later. That comes when they've decided on the neighborhood. They're trying to decide between a few different houses. Then we're trying to say what's unique about this house, the features, the window treatments, the home automations, the sun, these different things. The other thing about this unique home that started our conversation was there's good value on the home. The lot is priced less than similar lots in the community. It's also priced less than similar lots in similar communities. So there's a good value proposition in someone who's wanting to buy this house. If someone's wanting to buy something similar to this, there's a good reason to buy this one over the competitors because of the value. But if I lead with value, if I only have 4 lines on a Craigslist ad and I lead with value, well, I don't have someone interested in the house. So if I don't have someone interested in the house, I can't start negotiating the price and explaining the value. My goal on this particular house, and I'm going to say which house it is. It's the house we're back in Antiquers Aerodrome in Delray Beach. This is a community where you can keep an airplane in your own private air hangar and fly it off of your own private runway. 36 homes share this runway. All right. Nobody knows this amenity exists. People drive by it all the time. Over 2 acres in suburban Delray Beach, West Boca, West Delray, great school districts, over 2 acres, and you can fly. Now, not everyone has a helicopter or a little Cessna plane, but if you did, can you imagine? Nobody would even think all these New Yorkers and people from New Jersey that are moving to Florida, if any of them have their pilot's license, they wouldn't even think to ask the realtor. They're looking with their realtors and not saying, "Do you know of any houses that we can fly in and out of?" No one's asking that question. So I need to focus on the amenities of this community that someone could buy in this community and fly. And if I have a choice of starting with that or starting with the value comes after. Now I got my goal is to get someone to come look at the property, come look at the website. Then when they're interested in the property, when they're at the property, then I could talk about all the amenities. The second step, talking about the amenities, is once I have them hooked, then I can talk about the value once I have them interested. So that's the progression. So where we're stuck in the marketing meeting, the people that are joining us on the podcast, on the marketing meeting, where we're stuck is trying to, in a very, very limited space, talk about the value proposition. But I don't think it's ready for the value proposition yet. And what Andy, get this. This is what I want to do. Open house with an air show. I want to hire airplanes to fly above the property. I want to invite invite agents, people, and influencers and stuff to come to the property and see airplanes, whether we get a skyrider or an airplane guy with a banner. But I want to see people I want to get people to this property, have the open house, and have an airplane take off. Now, whether they're doing an air show or aerials or that, what happens next, I don't know, but that's what I want to see, because that's what's going to bring eyeballs and that's what's going to bring interest to the property. By the way, Mike Tyson just bought the lot across the street. He bought the lot that I did the YouTube video on. And basically the appeal to him is his daughter plays tennis. So he wants to be able to, and she plays in Delray. So he wants to be able to fly in, go drive, see his daughter's tennis match, go back to his plane and fly back to wherever he came from. Amazing. Amazing that you can do this in Delray, just a little bit north of Boca Raton. Questions, comments?
I don't know. It's kind of like where to start in a sense, because it is so different.
Yeah. But does what I say make sense about the progression from uniqueness to specific amenities to value?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It does, because especially with this community, like in order to really attract the eyes that you need, that's kind of I guess I would call it the flow of attention that you need to do.
But I
And
think
like it's
But I think it's true in any community, Valencia, Oaks, and any community. First, you have to find people that might be interested in the type of house we're offering.
Yeah.
Then we can show them the house.
Yeah.
And then we can show them the value.
Yeah. Now, when you say value, what I mean, you more than just a number.
Our lot is listed for 2 million.
Yeah.
The rest of the community is listed for 3 or 3.5 million. Now, there's no structure on ours where the others might have a house already built, but it's old, probably a tear down. So if you facing with a $3.5 million tear down or a $2 million vacant lot.
Yeah, $2 million way better.
For $1.5 million, the tear down still has a driveway and some landscaping, but you have $1.5 million to play with.
Yeah.
So it also at 2.25 acres, similar communities are also priced higher. The other high-end communities like Long Lake or Horseshoe Acres or Stone Creek Ranch, other high-end communities cost a lot more, are charging a lot more.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about value.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point, because like, I mean, Stone Creek Ranch, every lot's it's at least 2.5 acres.
2.5 acres. Yeah.
And so like this lot isn't much smaller. It's very comparable.
It's the same
and
size.
It's like it's a much better like price point for someone to get in at, especially if they want the land, because you have sometimes people that do want like a lot of space, so they have privacy from their neighbors. And I think it's more east than Stone Creek Ranch too, right?
Yeah. Well, it's Hagen Ranch Road, so it's between Hagen Ranch and Jog. So Stone Creek's off of Lions. So anyway, all right. So anyway, that's my thoughts of the day on marketing. Thank you for joining us inside the Real Estate Finder marketing meeting. Andy, you want to say something?
Well, how do you have an open house on a piece of land that doesn't have a house?
Well, open out, you mark it in the MLS and you invite people to come. Once we get there, we'll either put out a tent or a coffee truck or something. And then let's say we do it call it for noon, and the entertainment, the airplane show that I imagine, let's say that's scheduled for 12:30 or 12:45. And maybe we put in like a DJ or an MC and an ice cream truck.
Oh, okay. I was just curious
If
how
we get 100,
you would have an open house for something without a house. That's very unique.
If we get 100 people to come,
Yes.
agent's signature, and
Could you
99 because Brian's not coming, but we can get people to come and put it on their Facebooks and Instagrams and really show off this community.
Could you double it as a fundraiser?
I just want people to come.
A fundraiser event. Yeah, well, I'm just thinking like, sometimes that can like, if that's just another way to attract people, I guess.
I think the air show.
And yeah.
Air show is the reason people are going to come.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate Finder podcast. This is the first time I've recorded a Zoom and tried to make it a podcast. I am not sure if it's going to work. And let me stop the recording. Okay, so I paused the recording and then I started over, and I'm curious how that's going to sound on the video, just to play, because if I could sit in my chair and not have to go anywhere, I could podcast more often. Matthew out. What?
Okay. There is this is better to show than to tell, but there is a software called Restream. Let me share my screen, please.
I'm going to stop the recording. So maybe I missed saying my conclusion. My point is, just because a house has a feature doesn't mean you put that in the original ad. Sometimes, and the seller says, make sure you point out, sometimes you say that to the buyer, right? If we're going to talk about the value proposition of the house, now when the buyer sees the house, they're hooked, they're interested, then you tell them about the value proposition, right? So just because, and the problem we were having in our marketing is we want to say all these things at once, all these things at the beginning. But just because you want to say something doesn't mean you can put it in the 4 lines that you have on Craigslist.
It looks bright and the storms pass by. The sky's dark blue and it's almost that time. Light shows, cameras flash when I pass. Living in the moment, forget about the past.